Starting take two in 3, 2, 1, go! Well, hey there, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Take Two right here on, yep, you got it, the Voices on the Net Network. Appreciate having each and every one of you take the time to tune in to the show. Because Ronnie and I, well, we're back for yet another episode of it. We're going to have Ronnie make it official in just a moment. Hey, Ronnie, how are you over there?
I'm great. I might be able to make it official.
You might.
I have to wait to see. I think the wind blew my envelope away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you saw some action. Just last night. Wow. Well, we'll find out more about that. You sent me some pictures, too. At first, I'm like, is that a wall cloud or something along the lines of that? But we'll get all of that in just a moment. We'll have, of course, you make it official, if you have that envelope in front of you still. But before we get to all of that, if all of you tuned in right now would be so kind, please visit www.theonthenet.com. That is right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the great listeners, will be able to find more information regarding the Voices on the Net Network. Yeah, that's right. All you need to do is go right up to the top of the website, where you will see the About link. You click that About link, and it will take you to a web page that will provide you everything you need to know pertaining to the Voices on the Net Network. And really a guide for you, for those of you that are new to the network. I update it regularly, so if you're new to the network, even if you're not new to the network, you want to find out information about the network, anything extra, it's all on that webpage, the About link on the website. Now, you could also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, and they're all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. Each and every show from any of the shows on the network are all on the website. So on demand. If you don't know what you're searching for, well, more than likely, Ronnie and I have talked about it on the show. So you type in a keyword, more than likely you will find it somewhere on the site. You can check everything out, folks. A lot of great content, articles, you name it, my blog, all at www.theonthenet.com. All right, Ronnie, so if you don't have the envelope in front of you, you may have to leave your studio, you leave the building and totally go outside. You may have to go a couple of counties to the right or a couple of counties to the left, search for the envelope, come back, and then make it official. Or are we in luck and you have it in front of you and you can actually do your job?
I always have it back.
You have a backup. There you go. So I had to think you had to have at least a backup over there.
Yeah, my computer's still here, so yes. But we are on episode 283.
That's correct. Comes after 282, before 284. We are here. Episode number 283. Thank you for making it official and so forth. So, yeah, Ronnie, you saw some action, and it was just yesterday, as we speak, had a great person come in the room, and he said he's going to be a listener. He's from Belgium, and I love seeing people from all around the world come into the chat room. That's an awesome part of doing this. Part of it. It's globally. We're all globally connected. So I'm in New Jersey, you're in Nebraska, and this lad is in Belgium. And we're all connected in one location, a globally connected internet. And that's what I love about this, about doing this. So, getting to what I want to talk about, you were literally messaging me as I was talking to this guy in Belgium, also everybody else that was in the chat room, and I updated everybody, letting everybody know that you were literally filming a tornado, because deep down inside you would, well, you're supposed to be in the basement, but you would be filming it. You would be filming it. You would. The normal person would be in the basement or in the center part of their house. You're literally 2 feet in front of the tornado filming the darn thing. So you sent me pictures, and we, of course, wished you the best. Hope hope your house wasn't damaged or anything. But what's the deal, Ronnie? What happened exactly?
Well, when I was in the room watching you guys talk because I knew that something was going on outside, just kind of
Right.
waiting for the word as to when to leave. But when I sent you stated that the tornado was here because the sirens had all gone off and now the
Wow.
huge wall clouds. You could see the clouds coming down, and what we were experiencing were gust tornadoes. Have you heard
Okay.
of those?
No, I haven't. What are they?
A gust tornado is one that goes from the ground up instead of from the clouds down
So it
to the
starts at the bottom
ground.
and it rises.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's like a dust devil.
Right.
Now those are equated to usually about an F1 maybe. But this time you had different ones. You had the gust tornadoes, you had the tornadoes themselves, just all over the place. But when it got here, you could see on the outskirts, that's what I was sending to you, was
Right.
that it was forming. You could watch it form. And then all of a sudden it got rain wrapped and I was done at that point.
So the sirens went off, so clearly there was a tornado in the area. It may not have been right on top of you, but the sirens go off. What
Yeah.
exactly, when the sirens go off, does that mean a tornado has hit somewhere, or is that siren just an indication that a tornado is imminent? What is the deal with it?
Depends on the jurisdiction. Here, they're used in two different formats. One, they will go off and on siren one after the other one, which means that the winds are in excess of 75 miles an hour. Or you have the constant alarm, which means the tornado is on the ground and heading in your way within your county.
All right, so in some places they can be considered false alarms.
Some places, yeah, but in here, all the counties were going off because we had such multiple jurisdictions that were under the effects of this particular storm. But this storm was like a hurricane wrapped around. So you got it once and it turned around and got you again.
Wow. Yeah, they're big. They're big. These storms. They're
Yeah.
massive, and they can cause a lot of damage in a small period of time. And we obviously we don't want you to get hurt. We know you love tornadoes. You love these storms and so forth. But if you get too close, you wanna be able to see the footage that you're taking. But if you're too close, you may not be able to do that because, well, it will suck you up and
Yeah.
throw you into the next county.
So
Right?
I have a little bit of a cleaning up to do after this show today. So
Yeah, I have a little bit of cleaning. Oh, well, yeah. But nothing was damaged around you. I'm sure there were places in your town maybe that were damaged. Nothing, in your home or your studio.
none of mine, no.
Nothing personal. All right.
No.
Well, that's good. But yeah, you did send me some pictures, and the sky definitely looked threatening. That is for sure. But we are glad that you are all right. All right. Well, welcome. Once again, I wanted to just see what was up. Wanted to get the update from Ronnie. She did go through a massive storm and lives to tell the tale. But we are here for yet another episode of the show. Take Two, episode number 283. And we're glad to be here. Glad to have all of you tuned in as well. I want to start off with this here, talk about this with you, Ronnie. And somebody had posted this on Facebook, and I didn't know if it were true or not because you always want to, multi-source and so forth. I did. It is true. It's on all of the major news sources. And this is frightening for so many consumers because is this where we're headed? It looks like that is the case. So many internet service providers are doing this, and now you see the data centers doing this, which clearly is a cause for concern. Verizon, starting July 7th, 2011, they're going to be for their data plans, they're going to be heading into a tiered infrastructure, a tiered path and so forth. They're going to take the tiered pathway. And many people are upset about this because they're getting rid of their unlimited service. In other words, you could up until July 7th, you could pay $30 a month for unlimited service. Now that's not the case anymore. Now you have to pay for the amount of bits or bytes or so forth you use, gigabytes you use, which is actually the opposing view to so many people, where they would rather pay for the amount of speed they have. And if they want unlimited data, they should be able to get that unlimited data. And the thing is, there really isn't much competition out there. So Verizon is going to get away with this until somebody else comes along and offers something better. In other words, these big companies, what they're doing, Ronnie, they're basically telling us, those that actually know this is the case, they're telling us that there's limited bandwidth out there. But deep down inside, we know that there's plenty of bandwidth out there.
Yeah.
Really what it is, the corporate greed that kicks in. They know there's plenty of bandwidth out there. They don't want us to know that. They know there's plenty of bandwidth out there, and they're going to make money on that bandwidth.
I think the other companies are watching what Verizon's doing based upon, look what they've done in the past. You'll have one cell phone company that will come out here and do their own to-do, such as what Verizon has done now, and they come along with a completely different package because they listen to what the people say about the complaints. Some, like AT&T, for instance, waited until Sprint developed their design and waited and watched for the comments, what the people thought about, what they thought about the new stratiform of the company as it was based, and then turned around, implemented, and threw Sprint right on their rear, and AT&T came into place. I think Verizon's doing the same thing. I'm hoping that this is what's going on and not that they are going to charge per tier of how much you're going to use and predict that. I mean, I think we're going down the wrong way. Didn't FCC say something about that you cannot do this? But they are. I don't understand why they're going to sit there and limit your cell phone usage.
Because they can make
sense.
Well, because they can make money on the amount of time you spend on the internet. Because just about anything you're going to do on the net is going to take up bandwidth. If you're going to load a web page, it's going to take up a couple of megabytes per picture per whatever you're viewing. If you're going to download a movie, if you're going to view a YouTube video, if you're going to listen to a song, if you're going to listen to a podcast, everything you do on the internet it takes up some form of bandwidth. And companies that are not being pushed, in other words, by competitors, to really have to move in another direction, are going to take this route, the tiered structure. They know a tiered structure will make them a fortune if there aren't any other competitors out there that are going to offer comparable service. We know Verizon has the greatest coverage, so they already have that in their back pocket. So with the greatest coverage out there, along with the tiered internet access that they're going to be offering July 7th, they're going to make out like bandits until somebody comes along and offers us something different. Now, the data plans that they're offering, this is without tethering, folks. The data plans that they're offering here, after July 7th, for 2 gigabytes a month, you're going to have to pay $30. Yeah, $30 for 2 gigabytes. 5 gigs, $50 a month. And get this, what I think is a total sham. 10 gigabytes of data in a month, you're going to have to pay $80. So that's more than double the $30 a month you were paying for the unlimited for 10 measly gigabytes of data. Now, on a smartphone or a cell phone, it's a lot harder to use that up as opposed to on a computer. Because, no, you're not going to be downloading massive files as you would be on your computer. But 10 gigabytes can still be used up by those that are using smartphones. And in other words, that's not even the point. The point is, you could make, even if you were to maybe make that unlimited price $40 or $50 a month, I would rather take unlimited data at $40 a month than pay $80 a month for 10 gigabytes of data. It's just principle behind that. 10 gigabytes, even if I'm not going to use 10 gigabytes of data a month, it's still $80. It's still more than half of what I would pay for the unlimited service you did offer me before this came out.
Yeah.
So I think that corporate greed got to Verizon, and the sad thing is, it's going to be getting to every single one of these companies, including internet service providers, because if your internet service provider hasn't moved in this direction already, where you're going to basically, there's going to be the term limit on your internet service. If you want to pay for more, you have the right to pay for more. But if you don't want to pay for more, you don't go over that limit, and that's it.
Not to mention the fact that Verizon's going to charge you, $10 for every gigabyte that you go over on this. They're going to just automatically just stop when you go over that amount, or they're just going to let the clock keep ticking? What about programs? I mean, you have some out there that are the minutes, that you didn't use. So if you don't use all these megabytes within that certain period of month, they're not going to carry it over. I think that this needs to be, hopefully somebody comes along, please somebody come along, a provider, and puts Verizon back in its place. I think it's wrong of what they're doing. I don't think that they should be able to determine how much you're going to use, pay for that specifically amount, but knowing that you're going to go over that anyway and then continue to charge on that. But yet no one's grandfathered in for when they signed up with Verizon and wanted that unlimited time. They are not going to be grandfathered in.
The Verizon's been the leader of the pack for some time now. They've been the leader of the pack, and you have the whole debacle with T-Mobile and AT&T. You've got Sprint that's losing shares every day. Their market share's tanking right down the toilet bowl. It's bad out there. It is horrible. The limited amount of competition out there that's really in Verizon's favor as they're doing this. Now, if you want to use your cell phone as a modem, and we call this tethering. In other words, if you don't have, who doesn't have Wi-Fi? But if you want, if you're on the road and you happen to don't have Wi-Fi where you are, and you would like to use your smartphone as a modem, you tether it, you'd have to pay $50 a month for 4 gigabytes, $70 a month for 7 gigabytes, and $100 a month for 12 gigabytes. And, of course, if you go over, it's 10 gigabytes or $10 per gigabyte. Yeah, there are some unhappy people out there. Mm-hmm. There really are some unhappy people out there when they heard this was going to be the case. Because people were very content. They were very content with the $30 a month they were paying Verizon for unlimited data, and now that's all gone starting July 7th.
Ouch. Now I'm interested to find out how many people dropped their plans.
A lot of people. Well, this is the other thing. Remember, I brought this up at the beginning of the segment. Verizon has such great coverage. All right, you want to drop Verizon to make a statement. Understandable, absolutely. But note that if you go somewhere else, you're going to get worse coverage. Remember that. Do you want to drop Verizon, make a statement based on sole personal principle? Do you want to drop them, go to AT&T, go to Sprint, and get worse coverage? Do you want to do that? That's the decision you have to make, because you're not going to get better coverage than Verizon. Now, some people have figured out, well, they could use Wi-Fi to make calls if you're home. The only thing is if you're out, you may have dropped calls. But say you're home. Say you spend a lot of your time at home or in a specific location. Many people use the internet to make calls nowadays. If you're home, I don't use my cell phone when I'm here. I use Skype to make my calls. Mm-hmm. Many people do the same thing. So if you want to use another service that happens to have an unlimited package, which isn't many. I think Sprint may. I don't know if Sprint has an unlimited. I think Sprint might be the only one that has an unlimited data package. I think Sprint might be the only one for the wireless data service plan. I think they are, yes, Sprint, as a matter of fact. If people wanted to go to Sprint or wherever that has an unlimited data package, they could simply use Wi-Fi at home or their internet connection, use Skype or VoIP or whatever they're going to use, or in other words, their internet connection to make their phone calls at home. And if they go out, well, they drop the calls. They have to make a decision. They have to make a choice if they want to disregard the amount of coverage that Verizon has to offer versus anything else, all of those other factors, until somebody comes along and challenges Verizon here. And it's going to be interesting to find out what goes on in the future after July 7th. I'll tell you, there's going to be massive chaos come July 7th. And believe me, there's going to be plenty of media sources that are going to cover the amount of people that left Verizon, the amount of people that are starting a riot over this. But note, this looks like this is the probable direction the internet is going in until somebody comes along and focuses on paying for speed over paying for tiered service, where there's a limit. I have nothing against tiered services. Nothing. I do have a problem with limiting the tiered service. If you want to pay for unlimited access, you should have the right to do so. I feel. I truly do.
Yeah, that's your choice. I think that's you have all these people. That's how they got these people to come onto their plans, not to mention the ones that signed on for their unlimited program, signed on to a 2-year contract. Right. Now what?
Well, they're going to, unless they're going to catch you there, they're going to have to disregard that contract, or they're going to have to extend something. They're going to have to add an extension under that contract because many people do have a contract. Good point. And what are they going to do because they signed a contract that has a certain agreement in it? They have to add an extension. They have to.
Unfortunately, most likely what they put in there, like the normal other companies will put into it, that they have the right to change the policy, right to change the contract as it go along, without really notifying you. So you've already signed on that you're going to do that. But look how many people they drew in onto this unlimited policy, and now they're stuck into a contract that they're going to be punished if they want to get out of it.
Yep. It's definitely big news. And when somebody posted it on Facebook the other day, I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be something we're definitely going to be talking about. And that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what we did. And as mobile computing continues to just become more mainstream, as the smartphones have the ability to do a lot more, in other words, many smartphones can play games that are as demanding as what computers. I'm talking about high-end computers less than 3 or 4 years ago. Smartphones are able to pump out that high of quality of graphics. With the amount of apps, the amount of things you can do on a smartphone, they're basically mini computers. Many people place computer in front of phone when you have a smartphone. If you have an iPhone, if you have an Android device, many people place the computer term in front of the phone term because they're more of a computer than a phone. You're utilizing the computer more than you're actually utilizing the phone. It's a mini computer. So as the years go by, heck, as the months go by, this is, if Verizon isn't touched in the competition department, they're only going to make out like bandits here because people are going to be using a lot more data because of the advancement in technology. As the smartphones become more mainstream, as they become quicker, faster, as they can do a lot more. As you do more, the more data, the more you can do, the more data you're going to use. And seeing that just about everything's on the internet, yeah, they know in the future, in the near future, and now they're going to make out like bandits, even if they do lose a lot of people, because there's not a lot of competition out there, and they have the coverage area. They have the coverage to back up what they're doing. So we'll find out what happens after July 7th. It looks as these are going to be the final numbers, as I've checked multiple sources. Tethering, or without tethering, it's going to be $30 a month for 2 gigabytes of data, $50 a month for 5 gigs of data, and $80 a month for 10 gigs of data. With tethering, if you want to use your smartphone as a modem on your computer, if you're out in the open and so forth, out on the road, so forth, $50 a month for 4 gigs of data, $70 a month for 7 gigabytes, and a whopping $100 a month for 12 gigabytes of data, which is just absolutely absurd. And if you go over, you're going to have to spend $10 per gigabyte. Yeah. So you're going to be spending a lot of money if you decide to use your smartphone for things extra besides just using email, internet, and just browsing, basic browsing. But we'll see what happens. All right. We do have to move into the associations portion of this 283rd episode of Take Two right here on the Voices on the Net network. Before we get into that, though, I'd like to thank our sponsor. That is right. This portion of the 283rd episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com, and we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. Now listen up, ladies and gents, because Ronnie and I have an awesome deal for you, and you don't have to spend a single dime to take advantage of this great offer. Now, we know Audible is home to over 85,000 audiobooks and counting. Always new audiobooks being offered to their service. Really, the premier service on the net. Nobody's touched them. You want to talk about competition? Well, there isn't much because Audible's at the top of their game. A great service right here. We're going to give you, Ronnie and I, we're going to give you a free audiobook, one free audiobook, and a 14-day free trial to browse the immense selection of audiobooks offered at Audible. Yeah, so a great service, a great offer, and you don't have to spend a dime. All you have to do to take advantage of this offer is go to audibletrial.com/take2. That is right, audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this great offer. Even if you're not an avid reader, listen to this. If you're not an avid reader, the chances are you enjoy watching TV, or you enjoy watching movies, or you say you enjoy listening to music, your favorite artists, or you enjoy listening to your favorite radio stations, your favorite podcasts. The auditory experience, a bit of a different one when compared to the visual experience, rather than traditionally picking up a book and reading it word for word. The auditory experience allows you to relax, listen to your favorite books. You can close your eyes. It's nice. It's a relaxing experience. And the thing is, the voiceover artists, they make these books very engaging. They add the dramatic appeal. They add the comedic appeal. They engage you. Try it out. No risk whatsoever. One free audiobook, a 14-day free trial, all at audibletrial.com/take2. As always, we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program, as well as the voices on the Net Network. Thank you, Audible. All right. You want to start us off with an association over there? I know you've got quite a few over there.
I have. My favorite one, though, is Leona Helmsley. We know the Queen of Mean here. When she died at the age of 83, when she died, she had 283 pairs of shoes. She was a shoeaholic.
283 pairs of shoes. That's another thing I've never, ever gotten from females. They love their shoes.
Yeah, we love our shoes.
It's like, you love your shoes. I still can't get over that. I guess that would be comparable to me, I guess, collecting keyboards, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
I've went over that before, and I probably sound like a massive nerd, but I collect keyboards. I do. I have a closet full of keyboards. I have so many keyboards, yet I still want more of them. I collect them. I like different keyboards. I don't know. I'm weird. What can I tell you? I guess it's comparable to that.
That's right.
Right?
She's my hero. I would like to have that many shoes to match that many outfits.
You too?
283. I don't have that many, but
okay.
I am a shoeaholic myself.
Yeah, so you have to have a pair of shoes that match your each outfit, in other words.
Yeah.
So one night you'll wear this pair of shoes with that outfit, whereas the other night you'll wear another pair of shoes with that outfit. Yeah. This outfit, that outfit. Yeah, I got you. 283 pairs of shoes. Wow. That is crazy. But I've got one for you. Okay. I've got an association for all of you. And this comes out of Saudi Arabia. And we know that there are many diabetes cases around the world that are rising, skyrocketing. People that are literally living on sugar, increasing their chances of getting diabetes. Well, in Saudi Arabia, that's one of the places. In 2 decades, the amount of cases of diabetes in Saudi Arabia is expected to grow by 283%. Now, clearly, they've come a long way with treatments and so forth, and how to treat. You don't have to prick your finger anymore. There's plenty of tools out there that can take your blood sugar without pricking your finger. But if you had to make the choice between getting diabetes and not, I think you'd say, I don't want diabetes. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of people out there that do have it. They live with it. And as the number grows, you just hope the amount of treatment options grow along with that number, because if you don't treat diabetes, it can become very, very, very horrible for the person. You could lose your limbs. You could lose your body parts. So
your life.
You lose your life. Well, yeah, obviously. Yeah. Well, you lose. No, normally one would think if you start losing body parts, so life is coming next. So, but yeah.
That's what my dad died of. He died of complications of diabetes.
That's horrible. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I know a couple of people that have diabetes and they're living well, but it's you have to watch your sugar intake. You do. Just watch it. Don't live on sugar.
Which is odd, because Saudi Arabia doesn't have that. They don't have a lot of sugary items there in their diet.
Well,
so it kind of is altering as to how all of a sudden now a country that does not utilize the same things, our sugar habits that we have here in the United States are not used in Saudi Arabia. Right. So what's their cause?
Absolutely. Well, high levels of glucose. Clearly there are other causes then. But it also goes to show you that, well, clearly there are people eating sugary items there if the number is expected to increase, clearly. All right, what about some funny laws? Do you have one or a couple over there for us before we move into your stamp of reparation, Ronnie?
I have a couple. We're going to Culpeper, Virginia.
Culpeper. There you go.
Culpeper. It's 2.9-283, and it is illegal to tickle a woman.
It's illegal to tickle a woman, even the one you love?
Even the one you love. It's illegal.
Well, I would think that would be odd if you were just some random person going up to a random woman and tickling her. I'd want to put cuffs
it's probably
on
an
you,
assault.
too. I'd want to put cuffs on you, too. But if I'm around my girlfriend and I'm like, with her and I'm tickling her,
I know.
I don't see anything
Tickle
wrong
away.
with that. Yeah.
However, in Thailand, it's 283-1972, which law was passed. Para 7, it is illegal for you to leave your house if you are not wearing any underwear.
Well, how are they going to find
I guess they had
out?
to make that a law.
I just want to know something, Ronnie. How are they going to find out somebody's wearing underwear or not?
I don't know. How do you figure this out? They're looking for the panty lines or what?
Well, I just want to. I could wear a couple of pants underneath. See. I usually what I do is I'm a very odd person. I think I collect keyboards and I also do this. I wear pants underneath my pants usually. It's weird because I don't know. It's comfortable. I say I go to bed in these. When I go to bed, I wear. They're like boxers, but they're boxer pants. In other words, I wear those underneath my pants that I'm wearing out in the public and so forth. So how is somebody going to figure out whether or not I'm wearing boxers underneath my pants? That's what I want to know.
Looks like they're going to have to fill you up.
They're going to have to grope me, and they're not touching me. What a dumb, stupid, dumb law.
I know.
Take that law and shove it.
Maybe they want you to wear it on the outside of your clothes. I'm not sure how Thailand expects this, but remember, Thailand is a little different issues, and apparently underwear, I think, should be the least of their problems.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Ronnie, you've got the mic. What do you got for us for your stamp of reparation? You've got a few minutes here to give us what you've got.
Oh, I've got some strange news, and I think we all should be concerned with this one. Andrea Yates, who was actually convicted 10 years ago of murdering her 5 children. She systematically drowned all 5 of her children from the ages of 4 months to 7 years of age. She drowned them. Then that trial was turned over. The second trial deemed her not guilty due to reason of insanity. Well, guess what now? I guess now she's sane enough to be released in as early as November for killing 5 innocent children. We have Susan Smith, who killed 2, who is spending 2 life terms without the death penalty in Florida. We have John Hinckley Jr., who tried to assassinate President Reagan, and he's so far 30 years behind bars. But yet this woman can get out 10 years for the murder of 5 children. That makes me ill that this is allowed to happen. If she is so sane enough now to be released into society, should she not be sane enough now to face those charges? Because they only charged her with 3 counts and not 5. They reserved the last 2 counts. I think they should go back and get her now if she is well enough to be released into society. So now she knows what she done at the time was wrong. She should be recharged on those 2 counts the state failed to charge her against and hold her and keep her there. I don't think she should be released into society, period. None. If you can go out there and systematically kill your children and look at them as you are drowning them. And then consider herself sane? I don't think so. They just tried to say that she was psychotic, induced by postpartum depression. There's a lot of women out there with postpartum depression who do not put their children in a bathtub. But this one did.
Yeah, well, what how I feel about people that go this route. And she should. Yeah, well, it's pretty sick what she did. A very, very sick story.
She has people that actually are for her, that support her. I can understand if you're family and you're supporting her to a degree.
Really?
But you know what? I think we, the people, are supporting those lives.
You can understand. You can understand maybe family members supporting somebody that killed.
Yeah, you have family that look at Casey Anthony right now. Her parents are supporting her, even though they are being blamed.
Oh, come on!
By her own defense attorney. So that's kind of like the family's issue. But you know what? Her ex-husband, who actually I think also should have been held accountable because he knew her frame of mind when he left her alone with these kids. And he worked for NASA, still works for NASA. after she was arrested and stuff, he divorced her and went on to have more kids with another woman. What? This guy was just as responsible for the death of his own children than Andrea Yates was. And still, the state is considering on releasing her back into society. What does that mean for us? Because in a controlled environment, she is under controlled medication. Her actions are monitored. Everything is scheduled for her, so she really does not have to do anything. What happens if she comes out here and can't face the music still?
I'll tell you.
What's going to happen to somebody else?
The damage has already been done. The damage has already been done. She's already killed her 5 children. This was one of the most horrific tragedies in the Houston area that occurred.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrible. And I'll tell you, if anybody in my family did anything of the such, those ties would be severed. Forget it. Mm-hmm. No. Sorry, doesn't work that way.
Now with your family,
you don't
though,
do that.
Unfortunately,
you don't do
they're
that.
sticking by her.
Well, they can if they want.
Yeah,
which is pretty sick.
But you know what? She still is able to have children. So what if she gets out and gets pregnant again?
Well, I would take those kids away from her right away. All right. Thank you, Ronnie, for your stamp of reparation. As always, look forward to what you have to say. We do have to go to the break, folks. But before we head to the break, what are we going to talk about during the second segment of this show, this 283rd episode of the show? Well, I can tell you we're going to base the discussion, one of them, off of a great article on HuffingtonPost.com. Are you afraid of failing? Yeah. What do you fear most, though? Failure or success? You know, this is interesting because I would think the failure to succeed is kind of counterintuitive. It is, as a matter of fact. Why would you fail to succeed? Is there a limit? Is there a plateau? Well, what about those that simply won't take risks or chances because they are afraid of failing? Are they afraid to succeed, though? Where is that boundary? Where's that plateau? We're going to talk about this here, and we're going to go over the two here, and we're going to base it off of the great article that we're going to be talking about, but basing it off of a great article on HuffingtonPost.com. So we're going to focus on that right there. Maybe another topic if we have some time, but I really want to focus on this with Ronnie. Also, your blast from the past is also coming up at the end of the program. So, folks, you don't want to go anywhere. Ronnie and I return right after the break, so stay tuned. And we're back. That is right. Ronnie and I are back. We've returned for the second segment of this 283rd episode of Take Two right here on You Got It, folks. The one and only Voices on the Net Network, and we appreciate you taking the time to tune in. We really do. We've got a great segment for you, a great second segment in store. We're going to be talking about afraid of fear. Are you afraid of, or afraid of fear? We're going to be talking about failure. Are you afraid of failure? We're also going to be going into really the difference between failing and succeeding and the fear of both of them. One of them is definitely counterintuitive, and we'll go into all of that. Also, your blast from the past coming up at the end of the program, so stay tuned. We've got a great one for you, great second segment. But before getting into all of that, if all of you tuned in right now, if you'd be so kind, please visit www.vonthenet.com. That is right, vonthenet.com, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the great listeners, will be able to find more information regarding the Voices on the Net Network. Just go to the top of the website where you will see the About link. You click it, and it will take you to a web page that will provide you everything you need to know pertaining to this very network. A guide, a great guide for those of you that are new to the network, you know nothing about it. Or rather than Ronnie and or I explaining it to you, that page gives you everything you need to know. You could also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, and they're all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. You can check everything out by going to www.vonthenet.com. All right, Ronnie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be back. You too.
Thank you. So Ronnie, are you afraid of failing?
Yes.
Yeah. I think if you were to ask 1,000 people that question, more than 50% would say yes. They're afraid of failing, honestly. And I haven't even conducted a study, so it's opinion. But if I were to guess, if I were to make my guess, I would say more than half would say they're afraid of failing. I think a lot of people are afraid of failing, Ronnie. I do.
I do. I think the number one reason why they're afraid to fail is the criticism that they'll receive. You know, you tell people this is what your plan is that you're going to do, your goal, and they're like, oh, you can't do that.
Right.
So you try to prove them wrong, and you're afraid. It's back of your head. If you fail, well, they're going to be right. Now you're going to be criticized. Kind of like an I told you so syndrome.
Right. There's a great article on HuffingtonPost.com that talks about this. And we're going to base we're going to base our discussion off of this article by Russell Bishop. Is fear of failure holding you back? What about fear of success? Kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Because who would be afraid of succeeding? But you have to include the fear of failure into that equation. You have to. Because many people, for instance, they bring up a great example. Einstein didn't get to, or Edison, I'm saying Einstein, Thomas Edison didn't get to where didn't get to the final point of creating the incandescent light bulb until he failed numerous times. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, he admitted he failed hundreds of times. As a matter of fact, 1,000 times, apparently. So those 1,000 failures, the 1,000 times it took him to get from point A to point whatever, point B, we'll say, point Z even if you want. Can't even go past that. That's as high as it goes. But he failed so many times, he simply considered each one of those failures a step. A step. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what a lot of people should do. It's just, you have your boss looking over your shoulder. You have your parents saying, I told you so. And it hurts your emotions. It hurts inside when you're being told something you already know. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, Ronnie, when you have to go through that. And those of you listening, people that are over your shoulder telling you what you already know. It's like, seriously, rewind back 5 minutes and tell me that before I even did know, because I know already.
That's what I think is the biggest problem for me as well, is that when I'm criticized, because I will set smaller goals, like the goal I was going to go to college to get my associate's degree.
Right.
And then you're told that, going on it's going to be hard. You can't do it. Look at all the things you'll be giving up, and you won't make it to the end. It is too stressful. Well, then that gave me a harsher reality that, hey, I'm going to have to do this because I had already started it. I can't stop now, because that would be a big failure in my book. But yeah, I wanted to prove people wrong. But, not to say that I, didn't need Rogaine or anything in the process. But still, I was able to complete that goal. Almost complete that goal. But I think that other people have the same type of reality, even though you take the different steps. How big of a goal or how big of a jump into that success are you willing to go? What is the actual success in a person's mind? Is it going to be the ultimate step, the final step? Is that what you're looking for? And some people don't want to take the gazillion steps that it takes to get to that ultimate place. I think you have to set those smaller arenas or smaller goals in order to make sure that okay, I've made it this far, I haven't failed yet, and continue on with that process. But I think that each failure is a success, really, because like you just mentioned, you learn the mistakes. You learn, okay, this isn't working, this process, let me try something else, let me try something new. So you're constantly working your brain trying to figure out a different avenue. But a lot of people don't like a challenge. They put their own blockade inside of their lives. I don't want to go past this, or afraid to go past this, or we'll use the excuse problem. I can't do this because I'm in this situation. I can't do this because I live in this particular area, or I can't do this because I've done something.
There are roadblocks that are simply right in front of you.
But they put themselves in that. They don't find a way to go around that.
Emotionally, you'll or psychologically, you'll put, and even emotionally, both emotionally and psychologically, you will place those roadblocks in front of you. when you're trying to reach your goal. How many people would love to write a book? How many writers out there would love to write a book, but they're afraid that they won't make it? Because the competition is so fierce. Everybody has what it takes because just about everybody has a computer, and you don't even need a computer. What about before computers were invented? You have a pen, I'm sure. You have some paper around. Anybody, and you can go to the library and simply scan your paperwork in, and somebody can look at that person's book. They didn't even have a computer to create that book. They used a pen and paper. And now, of course, that's no longer the case. Just about everybody has a computer these days. It's so much easier to publish yourself these days. Self-publishing. You don't need a major publisher anymore. So people are afraid to even start writing their book.
Yeah.
Self-doubt. They're doubting. Well, they're doubting themselves. Whereas if you were to go back 10 years ago, it would probably be noticeably different. And if you were to ask those types of people that are doubting themselves, that will not go forward and publish that book because they're afraid there's too many people out there, that nobody will see their book, that they're going to be wasting time. And don't ever think it's a waste of time. Don't. Because you're going to have personal satisfaction from writing that book. And you're going to gain an immense amount of knowledge from writing that book. You're going to be researching. You're going to be doing that. So look at the other factors, not necessarily factors that will make you money, that will gain you exposure, but the personal satisfaction you're going to get from writing that book. It's just like anything else. What about me starting this network, the Voices on the Net network? I knew there was competition out there, and now more than ever. You go back a few years ago when I started everything, and the competition's more than doubled in a few years, probably way more than that. There's plenty of competition out there, plenty. And I started this network more than a year and a half ago, and well. Yeah, in that period, competition's probably doubled. Mm-hmm. So if people doubt themselves before they even start doing it, you don't know. You don't know until you try. But take what you're going to be getting from whatever it is you're doing and add to that equation the personal growth you're going to be getting. Don't think about the future necessarily, because there's something that is guaranteed. Something that's guaranteed that you're going to receive from whatever it is you're going to do, and that's personal growth.
You know, it's interesting you brought up writing as an example, because my sister's daughter, she's a writer, and she's been working on a children's book for some time, but she decided that she wanted to use a pen name instead, and asked her, why. I was always curious as the use of the pen names. And her theory was that if she failed or the book wasn't good enough, that it wasn't her. Mm-hmm. Her name that was failing. It was actually that's why
a lot of people do that.
That she did.
It's a pseudonym.
So I found that interesting. I was like, that is an interesting. It's not really you failing; it's somebody else. But still, I think a lot of people don't look past those roadblocks because we put them in there ourselves. And I know a few people I know that let's use criminal justice system for an instance. They say that they can't get anywhere. I can't get ahead because, I've done this in my past, or I've done that, or, this is where I grew up. So people don't make it in those areas because this is where I'm from.
Right.
They don't make a plan to come around the roadblock. They make a plan to stay within their own comfort zone because they're afraid to go outside of that, because going outside of that means a challenge. If you go outside of it, they become more unstable. They don't want to, they're afraid of that fear factor. Because success is what they want, but they're afraid of the road that it takes to get there, because success does not occur overnight. You have to have a lot of mistakes along the way, a lot of no's, and a lot of letdowns before you pick yourself back up and go on and meet that goal. But I think when you put that self-doubt in there, you're running yourself for the success. That does make you fearful of success because you don't know how to get there. You don't know how to address the issues that you're going to be confronted with, because you're confronted with those issues every single day.
Right. Telling yourself that there are going to be steps along the way where you're probably not going to necessarily succeed. In other words, there are going to be steps along the way that you're going to notice where all right, I haven't made it yet. I haven't gotten to that point. That there are fragmentations along the way. That there's going to be a bump here and a bump there and a bump here and a bump there. That if somebody could see into the future 2 years and you could see all of the roadblocks, you would take a punch, you would take a boxing glove and you would pummel each and every one of them down if you had the chance. But you can't do that. You can't. You can't look into the future. You know there's going to be roadblocks before you even start. You know that. That's
Right.
inevitable. It's going to be the case. So do you think, knowing in the back of your mind, there are going to be moments where you're going to determine, all right, fail, all right? Fail. And then move forward from that? Start there? Because you know deep down inside, telling yourself there are going to be times where you're going to fail in life, whatever you're going to be doing. There are going to be times, if you're a writer, that you're going to have plenty of times where you have writer's block. Once the book is written, that's just the start of it. You have to market it. There are going to be times where people are going to criticize your book, those that have read it. Do you think maybe telling yourself that there are going to be these roadblocks before even moving forward is a smart thing to do if you're the person? Because realistically, that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it's very smart. It's planning wise. You have to plan for all circumstances. Okay, what would I do if this, occurs? And if you don't plan for those mistakes that occur or the roadblocks, because what should you fear? What should be more of a challenge to you? The roadblocks that you put yourself through, or the roadblocks that other people put you through? For me, it would be the roadblocks that other people put me through. I can work through my own. But I think when someone else puts a roadblock in there, something that you don't expect, you did not expect, you did not plan for, does set you back. But I think that it gives you more. I think you need a lot of backbone, a lot of strength. And I think your inner self needs to come out more in that part. If you really want it, and this is what your goal is, there should be nothing that should set yourself in that way. So no matter what is thrown your way, you have a responsive answer to it. You find a challenge, you look at it, you find a ladder, you climb over it, and you get on the other side, and you're ready for the next challenge. Because even though you succeed, let's say you succeed and met your goal,
right?
That cannot be the end. That cannot be the end. So now you want to build upon that. Now there's a whole nother challenge. So just because you meet your goal or you think you have succeeded in that, okay, great, you met that first challenge. So you met that first tier. But there's so much more that has to develop from that. So because you become successful, you have to maintain that success by moving forward as well.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we move over to the counterintuitive, a failure to succeed, in other words. Because before you get to that success, there are going to be points along the way where you're going to fail. So in retrospect, you're not going to get to success without failing a little bit, at least. So you have to, it's a road. It's a road that takes you from one point to the next, to the next, to the next. So say we go from point A to point Z. Everything in between, B, C, D, E, F, G. Maybe B is a failure, but C is a success. D is a failure. E is a failure. F is a success. G is a success. H is a failure. I is a failure. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Those points from point A to point Z, there are going to be points where you succeed, points where you fail, until the end product, which is Z, whereas your ultimate success, but even then is not the end, and I'm glad you brought that up during what you said, where even at the end, once you've succeeded, ultimately succeeded, that's not the end. There are going to be other times after that ultimate success where you are going to fail, and then there are going to be times where you're going to succeed along with that failure after the ultimate success. So you've written a book, it's out there, you've marketed it, and people are criticizing you, people are buying it, so you think you're done, right? No, you're not done. There's plenty more to go. You want to sell more books, you want to try and figure out why so many people are criticizing you, you want to focus on a sequel. So there are other journeys that are going to approach, that they're going to approach. So if you think about that, all along the way, in order to get to the success, you're going to fail. So that's why it's counterintuitive. Because if you were afraid of failing, well, more than likely you're afraid of succeeding, because you have to get to that point of success, you're going to probably fail.
Yeah, but you have to maintain it. We think about like, the celebrities that we're really interested when they write a book or a story comes out that features them. We're more interested in the challenges that made them who they are.
Right.
Because it's never you're always in the right place at the right time. Very few are in that position. But when you talk about a celebrity, you're listening to the hardship story. How did they get to where they were? What kind of a life struggles did they have to face before they became a celebrity? And then you find out those that became celebrities ultimately end up losing that celebrity status in some way because of an action that they did. They considered that success. That's it. Now you owe me something for making it this far.
Yeah.
Instead of you owe that success to something.
Right. It's just like anything else. For instance, you're a 12-year-old boy and you're watching your favorite your favorite basketball player, LeBron James, go up and down the court dunking and making it look so easy on TV, where he's making millions of dollars. Everybody's drooling over how great he is and this, that, and the other thing. So this 12-year-old is like, he makes it look so easy. I'm going to do it. And then he goes through his life and he finds out, this really isn't that easy. Now, he didn't make the varsity team, but he made JV. So in retrospect, he failed. He failed in his view, in his mind, because he did not make the varsity team. So now he takes that example by joining the junior varsity squad and improve your skills to make the varsity squad. So you've just hit a roadblock. He's on the junior varsity team. Better yourself. Make the varsity team. Prepare yourself for college. If you don't make the college, say you don't make it at a college that you wanted to go to, you go to a college that does want you. You own your skills, you get better, and then you take it from there. Clearly, LeBron James going up and down the court, dominating like he does, dunking, and everybody looking at him like he's this hero and like he's God, isn't as easy as you originally thought. It looks easy. It looks easy on TV. It really isn't. I'll use another example. For instance, I'm in college. I'm getting A's and B's and so forth. Make it look so easy. My sister's interested in going to college. She wants to start right away. She doesn't want to wait. She wants to get right into it. She looks at the grades I'm getting. Oh, it has to be so easy. Well, you don't look. Shadow me for a week and you'll see exactly how tedious it is. People just see what they want to see. They don't think about what goes into it. And I think that is a prime example of why people are afraid of failing, because they assume something is going to be what they perceive it to be, but it's totally different. You know what I mean? It's totally different. It's not as they imagine it would be. They didn't think what it would entail, whatever they would want to do, what it would entail beforehand until they experience it.
It's like somebody else's success or the road to success is always seems to be somebody else thinks they have the right to bring them down because they are not supportive. I think that also brings us a challenge that we have something to work against. I tend to work much more harsher when someone challenges me that way, like telling me that, oh, this can't be done. They just have to say it can't. And then I'm out there to prove that, oh, yeah, I can do that. I think it's more of a challenge, but I think I could probably handle that challenge a whole lot better than if I put the challenge in front of myself, if I put my own roadblocks, because those are excuses, I think. When we put our own self in there and we determine, well, I just can't do this, I cannot do that. That right there is just tearing yourself down. You're putting an excuse before your success. So then you kind of have to question yourself, is that success really what you're wanting? The lady, I can't even think of her name right off the top of my head, who wrote Harry Potter. Look how many times she failed before she reached the point that she was. I'm not just talking about her writing career, but her personal life. When Harry Potter was for the very first book and she finally finished it, she wrote in a cafe with her children. Right. Her husband left. She had no money. That was it. That was the last time. And look where she is today.
Oh, I know.
Because she did not stop. She did not let other people interfere with what her dream was, what she wanted to do. She wanted to get it out on paper. This is what she wanted to do. And she's still overcome all those personal triumphs. And those were wins Even though they were losses personally, they were actually wins in the success problem
Oh, absolutely.
area.
Yeah. J.K. Rowling is her name.
That's
Yeah, no, that's a great point you bring up because I've heard the story numerous times about how where she started and then of course where she's at now. And writers look up to J.K. Rowling. They look up to her. What she went through, she's like, well, they're like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. True, you can, but you got to understand something. That's one person out of millions of authors out there that is at the top of their game. You got to understand something, being as realistic as you can. Whether it's a basketball player, whether there's a band, and whether you want to be in a band, a musician, whether writing a book, whether you want to be in a movie or an actor, whether you want to be a radio broadcaster, there are thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or more out there along with you that want to do the same thing. So you got to now place yourself in that group. Now you start, because there's a world out there just that has the same drive that you have and motivation that you have, that if you want to be a musician. And John Bon Jovi has brought this up numerous times on how he begun. And how he begun when he started, playing at the Stone Pony, and he started playing these smaller clubs and bands and so forth. How 1 out of every 1,000 are going to maybe release their first single. Then 1 out of every 1,000 are going to actually get another chance at making, say, an album. Then 1 out of every 1,000 are going to have the chance to get to that second tier, making another album, and then after that you make the third and the fourth. Then 1 out of every 1,000 may be successful worldwide touring. So those are very limited numbers to get from playing at a small club to playing to 65, 70,000 people at a massive stadium. Mm-hmm. That you have to get from that point where you're playing in a club to you releasing your first single to getting an album out, to getting another chance at another album so you could actually have songs to play to an audience, and then touring, which is a totally different level. So you got to be realistic regardless of whatever it is you're going to be doing, whether it's being a musician, whether it's music, a radio, an actor or an actress, a writer. It's the same thing, and that's important to keep in the back of your mind, that there are going to be roadblocks along the way. You're going to fail. Keeping that in the back of your mind to get to that point of success. And then after that, there's still going to be roadblocks you're going to be going through along the way.
Yeah, we tend to mock ourselves after those that had to pay their dues, such as Jovi. If they start real small and they work their way through, they had to struggle and fight and get where they are today. More so than when we don't support those that tend to make it on the success level because it was handed to them.
Right.
We don't seem to admire them we do not admire them as much. You have to pay your dues along the way. That's the struggles, because everybody starts out usually at the same spot until someone is just handed to them by a fluke, and then people will turn against you. Rebecca Flack, for one. Her parents bought this. She was on YouTube. Boom, here we are. And I'm not sure if they resented the song as much as maybe they resented her. The same thing with Justin Bieber. Same, I think, concept. It's not that he became successful. It's how he became successful. That the dues were not paid like other entertainers in the industry. Start out very, very small. They're struggling. They're in the back alleys playing, versus now, of course, technology helps out a lot in this area. But rather than it being handed to them without having to pay those dues.
Right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up too. How many of the bands will say, "Well, they started at the bottom wrong, and they worked their way up." Whereas you have talent shows that will place you right into the music industry by paying for you, getting your name out, and it's like as easy as that. You also got to understand these competitions are also pretty tedious to win. They're not as easy. Now, you don't have to necessarily win a competition like American Idol or so forth. To get a record contract. If you come in the top 15, you'll be noticed. The longer you stay on the show, the more exposure you're going to receive, clearly. But the bands still complain, well, it's definitely different now. It seems that it is easier than it was back in the day when people had to work their way up the ladder to get to the top. Whereas now, the internet has definitely made it a lot easier to expose yourself. you're globally connected, and that makes it a lot easier. You brought up Rebecca Black for once, for as an example. One moment she was a nobody, and then a week later she had 100 million views, it seemed like. Justin Bieber, on the other hand, he worked, I'd have to say worked. Rebecca Black, I wouldn't compare Rebecca Black to Justin Bieber, or I wouldn't put them in the same category, because Justin Bieber, while, yeah, he did, a video was placed on YouTube, he rose to stardom, he still worked his rear end to grow his audience. He went from radio station to radio station, playing for small audiences, and then they noticed how great, their perception, their fans, their perception of great music, of course. Now, he may not be my favorite artist, but I do think he is a talented kid. I'm going to tell you right now, I will. There are a lot of people that think he isn't, but I do think he is, and he also has a lot of fans. He also paid his dues in terms of going from radio station to radio station, playing for audiences. And he just countless amounts of days trying to grow his audience until he became big enough to create an album. And then, of course, he started the social media thing. And you got to watch his documentary, Never Say Never. A great documentary. I did check it out. And he did a great job with it and so forth, and the producers did a great job with it too. And it just goes to show you that if you do try at something you really want to do, even if you do go through the roadblocks, you, in some ways, you have tunnel vision. You kind of block them out, and then you focus on the success. For instance, there are plenty of times where I may feel like, this network isn't going anywhere. This show's not going anywhere. But I'm still here. I'm still doing it. I'm still running it. In other words, I'm not giving up. I want this to succeed. There may be times where it doesn't seem like it's growing. But in retrospect, I'm growing, because every show I do, regardless of whether there's one person listening or 100 people listening or 1,000 people listening, I'm growing myself. I'm learning about what I'm talking about, because I'm learning things as I'm reading, as I'm talking, and so forth. Same with you, Ronnie. So you look at things as personal challenges too. Personally and emotionally, how do you feel about whatever it is you're doing? Do you enjoy doing what you're doing? Are you passionate about it? Or are you only doing it to hopefully make a lot of money? Well, that will come, hopefully, but do it because you enjoy doing it.
Right. The drive is what's going to send you where
because
you're going.
If
you're looking for the money issue.
Oh, yeah. Well, say
if you're
this,
looking
Ronnie,
for the drive,
that
is what gets you there.
Right. But say this. If you enjoy doing something and you have a passion to do it, if you fail, well, you enjoy doing it regardless. So the failure's not going to be as harsh as if it were if you didn't enjoy doing it. Clearly, if you were to work a job, someplace you hate working so much, it's just a place that you happen to get in because there aren't many jobs out there, and you fail at that job, it's probably going to hurt more than if you were to fail doing something you love doing, are passionate doing. And there's a difference right there. Two different groups right there. Play it that you have to place into the equation, because people are going, again, I stated it before, I'll state it again, are going to fail along the way. It's just how you handle it, and the counterintuitive failure to succeed, or the afraid to succeed, where, well, from point A to point Z, there are going to be points along the way you're going to fail, and in order to get to that success, there are going to be places where you're going to fail, and it's just important to understand that. All right. We do have to go to your blast from the past on this 283rd episode of Take Two, right here on the one and only Voices on the Net Network. Before we do that, though, it is time to thank our sponsor. That is right. This portion of the 283rd episode of Take Two is brought to you by none other than Audible.com. And I want to let you know what Ronnie and I have to offer you. A great deal. No risk involved. You don't have to spend a single dime whatsoever. Over 85,000 audiobooks to choose from on Audible, at Audible, and counting. Always adding great Audible audiobooks to their service. Great. Well, the offer Ronnie and I have for you, you'll receive one free audiobook and a 14-day, a 2-week free trial to browse the 85,000 plus audiobooks they have to offer. All you have to do to take advantage of this great offer is go to audibletrial.com/take2 right now. audibletrial.com/take2. You will be glad you did, because Ronnie and I are subscribers. We enjoy it immensely. And the thing is, even if you're not an avid reader, You may pick up a magazine and or a book every now and then. More than likely, you enjoy watching TV or you enjoy watching movies. You enjoy listening to music or your favorite radio shows or your podcasts. The auditory experience rather than the visual experience. I'm not saying boycott the visual experience, traditional reading, but if you want to, say, lay back in your chair, relax, pop those headphones on, and enjoy your favorite book while you close your eyes, I don't see anything wrong with that. Try it, because the voiceover artists that are behind these books, they will engage you. The dramatic appeal they add to it, the comedic appeal they add to these books. Such an amazing experience. One free audiobook, a 14-day free trial to browse over 85,000 audiobooks. Go to audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this offer. As always, we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net Network. All right, Ronnie, what do you say we go into the past? We take the time machine to a past discussion that you and I went into, one of the many. You want to take a time machine? Want to take the time machine to the past?
Yes, I'm ready to get into the time machine.
All right, here we go, folks. Get in. Everybody in. Everybody in. The door's open. About to pop the door. About to close the door right now. Here you go. For episode number 283, Ronnie and I present to all of you your blast from the past. Enjoy. Yeah. And actually, it's great that we can talk about this because he's alive.
I know.
More probably 99 times out of 100, anybody would be dead in this situation. Really. But this guy, no. This guy lives to tell the tale. Now he has a really great story to tell to anybody. Scary story, but great nonetheless because he lived through it. Miraculous, really. Thanking the doctors. Imagine the doctors that worked on him. You bet all of you listening are probably wondering, well, what are you talking about? Yeah, a motorist was impaled by a pole. Yeah, as he was driving. He fell asleep at the wheel. It was late at night. And, he literally was impaled by a pole 2 inches thick. Went right through his mouth, through the back of his head. And doctors say that if it were any other way, if this pole went in any other way, he'd be dead. It could have hit the carotid artery. It could have went right through his brain. But no, it missed all of that. All of the critical arteries, all of the anything critical, it missed. Yep. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. If it was 2 centimeters one way or the other, that would have been, even the position of how it went into him was different. Because he had hit that chain link fence, and that's the type of pole that went through him. Can you imagine? You're asleep, and of course you don't remember any of this, and wake up and find, of course, you've got missing your teeth, your throat's all messed up, the scarring is all this, and all of that was from this pole. I could not imagine being impaled or even witnessing someone that was impaled going to the scene of the accident and seeing that, because you would think they would assume automatically that they're dead just to see that, but this guy was trying to use a cell phone to make a call for help.
That's the other thing that medics on scene, police on scene were looking at. How is this guy with a pole through his head trying to make phone calls? How is he even moving? I'm thinking to myself, as if surviving roadside bombs isn't enough over in Iraq. This guy's a war veteran. This guy has to go through this. And this is not the only accident he has had. I'm talking about bad accident that he's had that has actually hurt his neck and so forth. Clearly, that's nothing compared to this. But, he's survived quite a bit. So clearly, luck must be on his side. He has a guardian angel. If he could survive, and you would know all about this, survive over in Iraq, survive this, and any other accidents, clearly he could survive anything, pretty much.
Yeah, he's like a cat with 9 lives, but he better watch it because he's kind of using them all up. Because
really
eventually, this isn't going to happen for him.
Right. His name's Andrew Lynn, and he really did cheat death this time. He did. He's lucky to be alive. His Dr. Jay Coates told the Today Show that Lynn's survival was, clearly a miracle. What a miraculous story. Wow, I remember that like it was yesterday. Talking about that made your head hurt, Ronnie.
Uh-huh. Just the image. As soon as I figured out what we were talking about on this, that one, oh my gosh, the image hit my head at the x-ray. Ouch.
It's like JJ, get to the story already. What were you talking about? What was that? Seriously. But yes, we definitely talked about a story that definitely made our heads hurt. I know it made my my head hurt too. I'm sure it made all of you, many of you listening, your heads hurt too. If you want to check out, of course, the podcasts of all of the shows that Ronnie and I have done, you go to vonthenet.com to check them out. That's all the time Ronnie and I have for this 283rd episode of Take Two right here on the Voices on the Net network. But we'll be back for the next one to do it all over again for each and every one of you as we, approach our 300th episode of the show. Wow, amazing. But until then, we sadly have to say so long. For now, take care, everybody. Much love to each and every one of you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.